You know that moment when you think, I am just a little thirsty. I will drink some water later. It feels harmless, almost nothing. But what if that tiny delay was the first step in forcing your kidneys to work overtime for the rest of the day? Most people only connect dehydration with a dry mouth or a mild headache, while in the background, the kidneys are already under extra pressure long before you feel anything obvious. By the time your brain finally tells you, I am thirsty, your body has been dealing with low fluid for a while. Your kidneys act like highly selective filters that never stop. They need enough water to keep your blood flowing like a smooth, steady river. When you do not drink enough, that river becomes slower and thicker. The kidneys still have to filter the same waste, but now they're pushing more concentrated blood through microscopic structures. It's a bit like trying to push thick mud through a coffee filter instead of clear water. The job gets harder, but the filter does not get a break. At first, there's no dramatic alarm. You keep answering messages, working, eating, living life as usual, and it's easy to think everything is under control. Inside, though, the less water you give your body, the more concentrated your blood becomes, and the more effort your kidneys need to maintain balance. That innocent thirst is really your body saying, I've been compensating for you all this time, now I need real help. Ignore that message often enough, and running your kidneys in this survival mode slowly becomes the default setting. If you want to really understand what your body is doing behind the scenes and you don't want to miss the rest of this breakdown on your kidneys, hit the subscribe button right now and stay with me until the end of this video. Imagine two quiet workers who never stop, never complain, and never get any applause. That's your kidneys. They filter your blood all day long, control how much water you keep, balance minerals like sodium and potassium, help regulate blood pressure, and even support hormone production. All of that happens without you noticing, which makes it very easy to forget how much they rely on something simple: enough water in your system. Inside each kidney, there are millions of tiny filters called nephrons. You can picture each nephron as a microscopic assembly line. Blood arrives, useful substances are reabsorbed, unwanted ones are separated, and the leftovers become urine. For this system to work well, the blood that arrives needs to have a proper volume and a smooth flow. Water is what keeps that volume up and helps the blood move easily through those narrow vessels. When you are well hydrated, your kidneys can be precise. They decide calmly what to keep and what to remove, how much water to eliminate, and how much to hold so you don't swell. When you constantly drink too little, your body flips into economy mode. The kidneys get the message to save water at all costs, so they concentrate your urine and adjust hormones to reduce water loss. In the short term, this is protective, but it means your kidneys are working harder under tougher conditions for something that could be improved just by drinking more consistently. The real story of dehydration starts in your bloodstream, not in your water bottle. You lose water all day through sweat, breathing, and urine, even when you're not doing anything intense. If you don't replace that water, the liquid portion of your blood decreases. That means the same amount of particles in less fluid, so the blood becomes thicker and more concentrated. For the kidneys, this small change turns their job into a bigger challenge. At first, there's no dramatic alarm. You keep answering messages, working, eating, living life as usual, and it's easy to think everything is under control. Inside, though, the less water you give your body, the more concentrated your blood becomes and the more effort your kidneys need to maintain balance. That innocent thirst is really your body saying, I've been compensating for you all this time, now I need real help. Ignore that message often enough, and running your kidneys in this survival mode slowly becomes the default setting. With thicker blood, the flow through your vessels becomes less smooth, especially inside the delicate network of tiny vessels in the kidneys. They depend on a very specific balance of pressure and volume to filter properly. When volume drops, your body tries to compensate by speeding up your heart and releasing hormones that tighten blood vessels to keep blood pressure from falling too much. You may not feel this adjustment happening, but your organs are negotiating with each other in the background. At the same time, waste products like urea and creatinine start to build up more quickly because there is less water available to carry them out through urine. Your urine becomes darker and more concentrated, and sometimes stronger smelling.
Many people ignore this or think it is normal, but it is your body showing you that it is doing the best it can with not enough fluid. When this pattern repeats day after day, it becomes a lifestyle, and that lifestyle can slowly wear down the microscopic structures that keep you alive and balanced. Most people are not collapsing from thirst, they are just slightly dehydrated most of the time, and that feels normal. You are not in a desert, you are just drinking less water than your body and your kidneys would prefer. That quiet, mild dehydration, repeated day after day, is exactly the kind of stress that does not make headlines but can add up over the years. In this mild state, your body still manages to compensate. Your heart works a little harder, your blood vessels adjust, and your kidneys produce more concentrated urine to hold on to water. You keep working, studying, or training, maybe feeling a bit more tired or foggy by the end of the day, but nothing that screams danger. For your kidneys, though, every extra hour spent concentrating waste in a small volume of urine is more effort, more stress, and less comfort. When your urine is frequently very dark, it is a clear sign your kidneys are pulling water back into the body and packing a lot of waste into a small amount of fluid. That environment favors irritation and crystal formation inside the urinary system over time. One single day will not destroy your kidneys, but living in this pattern for months and years is like running a machine constantly in high gear. You do not see the internal wear right away, but later in life, the bill can arrive in the form of reduced kidney function or increased risk of disease. There is a point where not drinking enough stops being a mild habit and starts looking more like a direct hit to your kidneys. This can happen during intense exercise without proper fluids, long episodes of vomiting or diarrhea, high fever, or long exposure to heat. In these situations, you are losing water much faster than usual, and your overall blood volume can drop more sharply. For the kidneys, that sudden drop feels like a shock to their system. With less blood reaching them, the pressure inside the tiny filtering units in the kidneys falls. They depend on a steady flow to work properly. When that flow falls too low, your body starts to prioritize the brain and heart, and the kidneys may receive even less blood. In more serious cases, this can lead to an acute decrease in kidney function, something that needs medical attention and is no longer just, "I should have drunk more water today." The organ that usually protects you by removing toxins becomes one of the victims of the situation. Before we walk into the heavier consequences like stones, infections, and long-term damage, pause and look at your own routine. How many real glasses of plain water did you drink today, not counting coffee, soda, or alcohol? Do you recognize yourself more in the group that drinks throughout the day or in the group that only remembers water when thirst becomes uncomfortable? Tell me in the comments how your hydration habits honestly are, and if you have ever noticed very dark urine or discomfort on hotter days. Your answer can help you pay more attention to your own body and might wake up someone who is watching and doing the same thing without realizing it.
When your urine is very concentrated day after day, it is like trying to grow crystals in a salty, dense solution. Minerals, such as calcium and oxalate, can start sticking together and forming tiny stones. At first, they are microscopic, but with constant concentrated urine, they can grow. One day, a stone moves inside the urinary tract, and suddenly that harmless low water habit turns into one of the sharpest pains a human being can feel. Dehydration also makes it easier for bacteria to cause infections. When you drink enough, you pee more often and flush the urinary tract, making it harder for bacteria to stay and multiply. When you do not drink much, urine stays longer in the bladder, becomes more concentrated, and the whole system is less rinsed. That combination can increase the risk of urinary tract infections, which, if they travel upward, can involve the kidneys as well. Over many years, repeated episodes of dehydration, stones, infections, and constant extra effort can contribute to chronic kidney damage in some people, especially when combined with other risks like high blood pressure or diabetes. The scary part is that kidney function can decline quietly for a long time before symptoms appear.
That is why understanding how dehydration feeds into this chain is so important. It's not just about being thirsty, it's about how often you are putting extra stress on organs that you cannot replace. Your body usually whispers before it screams. Some of the early signs that your kidneys are under stress can look very normal if you're not paying attention. Urine that is frequently very dark, going long hours without feeling the need to pee, or waking up every morning already dry and thirsty are small clues that your hydration pattern is not ideal. Occasional changes happen to everyone, but when the pattern repeats, it deserves a closer look. Other signals can show up outside the bathroom. Swollen ankles at the end of the day, feeling more tired than usual, headaches, or noticing that your rings or shoes feel tighter may be subtle hints that your body is struggling with fluid and salt balance. Sometimes blood pressure slowly creeps up and people blame stress or age, while the kidneys are part of the story in the background. More intense warning signs like persistent pain in the lower back or side, foamy urine, blood in the urine, nausea, or shortness of breath are reasons to seek medical care quickly, not something to wait and see. These do not always mean kidney damage, but they are flags that deserve professional evaluation. Hydration is one piece of the puzzle, not the only one, but knowing how to read these signals puts you in a better position to protect your kidneys before real damage settles in. Some of the habits that quietly dehydrate you are completely normal in modern life. Coffee, for example, is not the villain many people imagine, but in high amounts and without any water in between, it can contribute to fluid loss because of its mild diuretic effect. Alcohol does this in a more aggressive way, shutting down the hormone that helps you hold water, so you pee more and lose more fluid than you think. If your day is powered by caffeine and ends with drinks, plain water often gets pushed aside. Crash diets and extreme eating patterns can also play against your kidneys if you do not increase your water intake. Very high protein diets generate more nitrogen waste, which the kidneys need to excrete through urine, and that process needs water. Low carbohydrate diets often cause an early loss of water as glycogen stores are used, which can leave you feeling lighter on the scale, but also drier inside if you don't compensate. The diet itself is only part of the equation. The real question is whether your fluid intake matches the extra work your body is doing. Then there's the environment. Long hours in air conditioning, heated rooms in winter, hot and humid climates, or jobs that keep you standing or moving all day, all increase fluid loss through sweat and breathing. People who talk a lot for work, like teachers or sales professionals, lose even more moisture through the mouth and lungs. If you add salty snacks, processed foods, and the habit of forgetting to drink water until you're very thirsty, the combination slowly dries you out without any dramatic scene, just small choices stacked together.
That classic rule of drink 2 liters of water a day is an easy slogan, but real life is more flexible than that. The amount your kidneys appreciate depends on your body size, how much you move, the climate you live in, how much you sweat, and even what you eat. Someone who works outdoors in hot weather and exercises will need more than someone who spends the day sitting in a cool office. There is no single magic number that fits every human being. A more practical way to guide yourself is to look at your urine and your thirst. Urine that is usually pale yellow is a decent sign that you're in a good range, while very dark urine most of the time suggests you should drink more. Feeling thirsty occasionally is normal, but being thirsty almost all day means you are constantly catching up instead of staying ahead. For most healthy adults, spreading water intake through the day works better than chugging large amounts all at once. There are also situations where drinking as much as possible is not the answer. Certain medical conditions, like advanced kidney disease or heart failure, require fluid limits, not extra water. That is why general rules are helpful, but they do not replace an individual plan with a health professional if you have any chronic condition. For many people, though, the simple habit of keeping a bottle nearby and sipping regularly is enough to make the kidney's job much easier without obsessing over exact milliliters. Small decisions repeated for years are what really shape kidney health.
One of the most powerful things you can do is turn hydration into routine, not into a heroic act when you remember. Drinking water when you wake up, keeping a bottle visible on your desk, and drinking a bit before and after meals are simple anchors that keep your kidneys supplied. It's less about one huge glass, more about steady support throughout the day. Another protective step is to be careful with things that silently stress the kidneys. Overusing painkillers like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, smoking, living with uncontrolled blood pressure or poorly managed diabetes, and relying on sugary drinks instead of water all make the kidneys work in a tougher environment. Moving your body regularly, sleeping better, and eating more natural, less processed foods help blood vessels and blood pressure, and that automatically helps kidney circulation. Routine checkups are not boring details, they're your early warning system. Simple blood tests, urine tests, and blood pressure checks can show early changes long before you feel symptoms. If you already have risk factors, talking honestly with your doctor about your hydration habits is part of the strategy, not a side note. Think of kidney protection as an investment. The payments are small daily choices, and the return is having your filters working well when you're older and really need them. When you put everything together, dehydration is not just about feeling dry. It thickens your blood, makes your kidneys filter under tougher conditions, concentrates waste, encourages stones and infections, and over many years can be one of the quiet players in the background of chronic kidney problems. The body is very good at compensating, which is why you can ignore water for a long time. But that ability to adapt is exactly what hides the damage until it's bigger. The good news is that this is one of the few health stories where you can change the script starting on the very next glass you drink. You don't need perfection, complicated formulas, or expensive products. You need awareness and consistency, noticing the color of your urine, paying attention to how often you pee, adjusting on hot days, balancing coffee and alcohol with water, and treating your kidneys as something worth protecting, not as invisible background organs. Your future self will never regret the habit of taking hydration seriously. If this video helped you understand what dehydration really does to your kidneys and gave you ideas on how to protect them, do not leave quietly. Hit like so this message reaches more people, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next health breakdown, and share this video with that friend or family member who spends the whole day forgetting to drink water. Your click might be the reason someone takes their kidneys seriously for the first time.